Stephen, can you tell us a little about the barriers to doing research in big data?
I think it's a great question. I think there's a lot of discussion about how we can make big data sets available to researchers to do various analyses. And I think that potentially an outcome of this conference in terms of how we remove those barriers to allow that access and allow that research to be done is one of the fundamental questions that needs to be achieved. Currently right now, a lot of these big data sets, particularly in genomics and genetics, are siloed in different locations. It's very hard to get access to them and aggregate them. And if we think about the people that actually do the research, it's predominantly graduate students and postdocs in labs who have their own types of pressures when they're doing research and finite amounts of time to do work. And they will work on the data sets and the problems that are available and accessible to them to be able to accomplish various research objectives. And so if we can put in the hands of these people and the labs that are actually interested in these research questions, these data sets, we're actually going to see, I think, a large amount of progress on various fronts.
And what do you think is holding us back from achieving that right now?
I think right now it's a cultural issue in some regards. So, if you are a lab, and this includes my lab as well, if you're a lab that gets funding that allows you to generate a large data set, you want to be able to have time to be able to use that data set and reap various research benefits off of that before you contribute that to the public domain. But I think once there's a certain amount of time that's lapsed and that data has been generated by the lab and utilized initially by that lab, that data needs to be made accessible, and it needs to be made easily accessible. There are a series of barriers involved in protection of individuals, which are important barriers that need to be put in place. But we need to make sure that those barriers are not being used as reasons to prevent sharing of data when it's possible to share data. Because it's very easy, for instance, to someone to generate a cohort and say, I can't share this because of the way the consent was written. And so we need to make sure the consents are written in a way that enhance the entire scientific process instead of just the benefits from individual groups.
And once those consents are written the correct way, is there a way to easily share this data, all of this data?
Yeah, so there's been initiatives, initiatives here at Stanford as well as federal initiatives in the U.S. and internationally to build the data infrastructure that would hold thousands of individuals' genetic data, as well as provide information on their medical records and information on how their cells are behaving. So that infrastructure is already in place in some regards, and it's obviously has the challenge that this data is growing very quickly, and so there's the stressors on the infrastructure which need to be addressed as well. But it's there, and so what we need to do is we need to make sure that more data is getting there quicker, it's better organized, and it's easier to get that data out and to start aggregating it.
And now shifting gears a little bit, I'm interested in your background. How did you start off in engineering and end up in the field of big data?
Yeah, so when I was doing my undergrad, I was very interested in physics and engineering, and at the time, this was early 2000, 2001, the genome had been sequenced. There had been more interest in having quantitative people as part of the genetics and genomics enterprise. And I loved it. I got very interested in it. I went to the cancer agency in British Columbia and said, is there anything an engineer can do to help with these types of problems? And they got me working on the question of understanding gene regulation. So trying to look at genomes and understanding what are the particular sequences which regulate different genes. And so from there, it's just been a passion for my life, and I did a PhD in genetics and continued on that road to today.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.